Hello and welcome to the Potential Psychology Podcast. I'm your host, Ellen Jackson, and it's my mission to share the science of human behaviour in a practical, fun and inspiring way. In each podcast episode, I interview an expert from the fields of psychology, well-being, leadership, parenting or high performance. I pick their brain to uncover what they know about living well, what tips do they have for you and I quiz them about how they applied their expertise in their own life. Join me as we discover simple, science-backed ways to live, learn, flourish, and fulfil your potential. And so it begins. I'm very excited that you are here joining me to launch the podcast. And this podcast is for you. I've created it to share the wisdom, knowledge, passion, and experience of my amazing guests, and they are amazing, so that you can take what they know and use it to grow, flourish, and continue to fulfill your potential. Let me tell you a little story. In April 2002, I lay in bed on a Saturday morning. I just stepped into the unknown, walked away from traditional employment, and decided to start my own business. I was 29. I had no idea what I was doing, but strangely, I wasn't scared. I was excited. I felt free and like the future stretched before me, full of possibilities. I had no business plan, not much money, and no real idea of what I was going to do. But I had some contacts and I figured I'd just make do for as long as I could until I had to get a proper job. And as I lay there on that Saturday morning, I was trying to come up with a business name. I thought about the work I'd done so far in my career. I'd worked in IT, human resources and consulting. I had postgrad qualifications in coaching psychology, and I'd done a bit of career counselling on the side. And when I thought back over my studies and my work and just my life generally, it occurred to me that my most satisfying experiences were spent helping other people, individuals, to learn more about themselves, to discover their passions, their beliefs, their strengths, their true interests, and their paths in life. And it was such exciting and gratifying work to see eyes light up and possibilities reveal themselves, and it really filled my soul. And as I reflected on these experiences, one word kept popping into my head: potential. I loved seeing the potential in each person I worked with, and I wanted so much to help them to see, discover, and fulfill that potential in themselves. And so Potential Psychology was born. Since 2002, I've worked as a consultant psychologist under the banner of Potential Psychology with and for many, many organisations. I've always been drawn to workplaces and helping individuals, teams, and particularly leaders to understand human behaviour, to maximise their performance and their happiness and well-being, and to be the best version of themselves for the betterment of their workplace, their colleagues, their teams, and of course themselves. But I don't come to organisations with proprietary models or slick how-to guides. I share the science of psychology, the incredible work undertaken by researchers in universities and labs worldwide into how and why we as human beings behave the way we do. What drives and motivates us? What inspires or maybe paralyses us? What forces shape our thoughts, our feelings and behaviour at work, at home and in our community? And what does psychology, the study of human behaviour, know that will help us to all fulfil our potential? I'm super excited to bring all of this expertise and knowledge to a new platform and a bigger audience via the Potential Psychology podcast. In this first season, we learn from, among others, Dr. Joe Mitchell from the Mind Room. Joe and I discuss screw-ups and steps to happiness. Martine Oglethorpe of The Modern Parent, who explains how to parent in the digital age. Mel Schilling, psychologist and relationship coach, talking about power posing in the bathroom and building self-belief. Dr. Shell Taylor, child and family psychologist, who gives us her top tips for helping kids to manage their emotions when they're stressed. And Dr. Sarah Mackay, who introduces her fascinating discoveries in her book, The Women's Brain Book, The Neuroscience of Health, Hormones and Happiness. And that is just the beginning. If you're keen to keep in touch, please sign up to my regular newsletter at potential.com.au/subscribe. This will keep you up to date with the latest podcast episodes, as well as blog posts, my favourite articles each week in the areas of positive psychology, performance and wellbeing, and you'll get some behind-the-scenes glimpses of life here at Potential Psychology HQ. You can also subscribe to the Potential Psychology podcast in iTunes or your favourite podcast player. Oh, and I forgot to mention, I've never had to go back and get a proper job. Thanks for listening and enjoy the podcast.